A Cobb County father's murder conviction overturned 8 years after his toddler son died after he left him in a hot car for hours.
That opinion coming from Georgia's Supreme Court just hours ago. A jury convicted Harris in 2016 on 8 counts, including malice murder in the death of his 22-month-old son Cooper. The prosecution arguing that Harris intentionally left Cooper in the car because he dreamed of escaping his marriage. A bulk of their evidence focused on explicit messages he sent to young women and girls. A judge sentenced him to life without parole after he was convicted. Because not all of those other crimes were overturned by the state Supreme Court, Ross Harris will not walk out of prison tonight. The Cobb County District Attorney will have to make several decisions about what happens next. Joe Henke explains.
In its opinion released today, the Supreme Court of Georgia overturned Ross Harris's murder conviction and life sentence for the death of his son Cooper. The court citing an extensive amount of improperly admitted evidence the jury heard and saw. 11 Alive legal analyst Page Pate says the ruling is not entirely surprising.
All of the pretrial motions were focused on whether or not the judge should allow in this evidence relating to the sexual text and messages he was sending to a variety of different women, including underage women, and how that evidence would impact the separate question of whether he intentionally left Cooper in the car.
The Supreme Court wrote prosecutors used details of Harris's extramarital and sometimes illegal sexual activities, hundreds of lewd messages and graphic photos of Harris to make sure jurors did not miss the point that he was a repulsive person. Some of those messages and graphic photos are why Harris for now will stay in prison. His convictions for sending lewd messages to an underage girl still stand. He was sentenced to serve 12 years in prison for that and has served 8. With his life sentence for murder overturned, it does open the door for him to apply for parole. When I reached out to the Cobb County District Attorney's Office to ask about its next steps, they only responded with a single sentence, reading, "Our office plans to file a motion for reconsideration in the case." Pate says that motion is unlikely to have any impact.
6 justices in favor of overturning the murder conviction, 3 opposed. That's not going to change because of a motion.
The Cobb DA's office, according to Pate, will need to decide, do they put Harris on trial again for murder or try to cut a deal with him, perhaps for a lesser charge such as manslaughter.
Without all that prejudicial evidence, that unfairly prejudicial evidence, their chance of convicting him on the murder counts is not nearly as good as it was the first time around.
I'm Joe Henke, 11 Alive News.
So there